Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to another Real Talk. I am GGJ, and today we're going to be talking about what we usually do. We'll go over all the the brackets and stuff like that. But first off, I want to talk about CB30. Now, there's a lot of people who are disliking this patch. Me, not so much. I like the patch. There's one thing I think, two things, but the second one's going to be fixed. Right, the first one is I think the map size is too small, which is now encouraging spawn camping, as we've seen that through competitive play and the tournaments thus far with this current patch. Second off, time to kill is too quick, right, or too low, whatever it is. Right, so boom, boom, you're dead, whatever. Now, for those of you hating on this, let me just explain something to you regarding this. Now, time to kill will change depending on nerfs, buffs, and so forth and so on when high-res nerf and buff their characters in game. So that's going to change over time as balance comes back. Now remember, new patch, completely new, yeah, so the game's completely changed, right? With the shape of the maps, the tight edges, it feels more FPS-y. That's what they were after. Good job, well done, high-res, because, you know, they've done that. They've done what they were trying to achieve. You need to... I don't know. I think there needs to be a little bit more playtesting going on with these patches now, especially now we're 8 months down the line. These drastic changes are very detrimental to the competitive scene, which is the only part of it that I'm interested in, and a lot of people that watch my videos are, of course, because of the nature itself, it's an eSports title. It's going to be an eSports title. As a whole, though, I like the patch. Makoa is... he's become bread and butter. Now, some teams tried to run him in different aspects, like attacking Makoa with the ultimate, and some teams tried to make him like real shield depending, really blocking the damage and stuff like that with the heal. So basically, when an opponent attacks your shield, you're getting healed off it, so you can take damage, pop your shield, and then go in. Right. So we saw that Fate versus Paradigm, for example. We'll go over that later though. So there's lots of different ways, and it's, you know, the top 4 teams or top 5 now are starting to realize, okay, there is a way to play this patch, and you've got to do it properly. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the Victor pick. Now, there's a lot of talk about Victor actually, and a lot of people are saying, no, we just don't value him. And then there's a lot of people, especially on the side of Eager, for instance, on the NA scene, they really value him. Now, there's a couple of teams that, like, we've seen in the EU scene that have tried to play him as well. Not to great effect, whereas Eager have that better player base. You know, they had that mentality, say, right, let's, you know, see what we can do with this. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's only time. I think it's time will tell, sort of thing, you know. The Victor pick. So let's talk about Victor. What does he bring to the table? So, Victor has movability, right? He can position quicker than most, and of course his ultimate. So his ultimate is 3 missiles that come down, dealing between 500 and 1,000, depending on what target it hits. His ultimate is something I'm going to call a crucial part of retakes. So, hypothesis here, an example, if you will. You're on the point first and you get pushed off it. The enemy team, you've got about 50 points or whatever. The enemy team's bracking up to 70. You will spawn. You've got a Grok ultimate, you've got Makoa ultimate, and you've got a Victor ultimate, right? You want to have your air control units, Drogos now, which obviously he's become meta pick, as you will, or should we say early combat 30 pick, as I call it, the combat patch, because you're always in combat. And Androxys. So you take that air control and you want to bring it to the fight. So you're taking the air control, you're trying to take the sight of your opponents to you, right? So your air control, you're trying to get it, and then you need to dash around, make sure you're not getting hit. This allows your Makoa and the Victor to get into position. They go in, Grok comes in with the healing or whatever it is, his damage, chain lightning, whichever. Draw them to you, maybe get a hook. By bringing the hook in, that means you're going to have to force the opponent to come to you to try and, you know, save the teammate if they do that. Because if they do that, if they don't do that, that's a 4 versus 5 and your retake is already underway. Victor ult comes down, wham bam, thank you ma'am, you're dead, bye bye, back to the base for another 10-12 seconds, have fun. So that's a sort of just a primary example. Like, it's not always going to be like that. There's different staggered respawns and whatnot and so forth and all that. But so far, that's the only way I can see Victor coming in. It feels like he tickles at the minute. Now, a lot of people are saying otherwise. That's just my opinion on it. A lot of people are saying, well, you know what? Nah, I value him. He does great damage. He can maneuver himself. He can get into different positions. He can pick up... because the maps are shorter now, his distance is still the same, and therefore he's got a longer distance because of the map differential. So people are saying, well, no, he's got fast sight now. He can actually see... He can actually get targets that have been trying to escape, and so forth and so on. Yeah, that's about it for Victor. And we'll move on, because obviously you lot don't want to listen to me ramble. You want to see the eSports side of things, which I don't blame you. Well done, you. The map itself. A little small. Map is amazing. Not going to lie. I love the bloody map. I think it's great. Too small. It just doesn't feel... Alright, let's look at eSports as a whole. So, a thing that uses maps, like CSGO, for instance, right? So, CSGO, you got a variety of maps, Overpass, whatever, all them maps and whatnot. Yeah, well done, Jay. You named one. Woo, go me. You got all these maps, and you get to choose, ban, whatever, and you use the maps to your advantage. Now, alright, I guess CSGO is kind of a wrong example because the maps are different. You get to go inside buildings and all that sort of stuff, whereas we've got that generic MMO sort of feeling, MOBA sort of feeling towards us. It makes the game feel smaller, is what I'm getting at. And I don't agree with that. I feel the old style maps were fine. The idea of this whole new map system is so that they get the sharp corners, make it feel more FPS-y and stuff like that, which is fine, but you should have done it on the old maps, in my opinion. I love the new map, I do, and the artwork and the detail and stuff they put onto these maps is amazing. I love it. There's butterflies on it, by the way. I don't know if anybody's seen it. If you're playing Androxus or Drogas, you get to look up and you see it, and you see butterflies. It's really cool. I like it. Anyway, yes, I get distracted very easy about these little things. Now, I'm hyped for the new one, which is going to be the new glacier-type feel map. Lots of ice and snow and all that stuff. As I've said previously before in some of my other videos, I'm a lover of these types of maps. Now, Glacier Keep's always been my favourite map. We were stuck on Temple Ruins, or I think it was, for donkey's years before Glacier came out. And Enchanted Forest, I'm not really a fan of. I've never been a fan of it, even when they reworked it, had the tree trunks and the new siege points and that put in. I was never a fan of it. I just didn't feel it. It wasn't something I valued. Not that I didn't think it looked nice or anything. It just didn't feel right to me as a player and as a consumer myself. I just didn't like it. But going onwards, I feel like this new map, depending how big it is, like if it's the same sort of size as the Temple Ruins Isle, or Temple Isle is called. Sorry, not Temple Ruins Isle. Then fine, But I don't think the map should be that size. Here's another thing for those of you who haven't actually had a chance to play the patch yet. The map itself is segmented. So before, on the maps, you could go from mid to left point to right point, go all around, whatever. This one, you have to go for a portal. It's a instance, as they call it, a separate instance. You can only fight on that section of the map at a time until the siege point has been either pushed or defended or whatever, the time runs out. Now, 3 points, one left, one center, and one right. So in Spectator, you can actually come all the way up and you can see and you can view everything. And those of you who want to make some map videos and stuff like that, I'm going to be doing it as well. And I think Vox and stuff like that, they're going to be doing stuff like this. To me, that's phenomenal. You can take this panoramic views, you can get like the entirety of the actual map itself, the accomplice, if you will. It's amazing. Now, that being said, going back to what I was previously saying before I rambled on, I don't think the map should be this small. I think they should be a little bigger. It just feels too cramped. The siege point, for instance, Temple Isle, left side, the whole thing feels cramped. Or is it left side or midpoint? I don't know. I can't actually remember. Left side's got Sundial in it because then it's got the ocean, right? So that's the left side of the map. Center is the one that goes all around, and you've got the two pillars, and you've got. Is that right? Must be right point then. Oh, my bike. I can't actually remember. That's infuriating. But anyway, moving on. Right, so that's that, and I just wanted to say my thoughts on the, as I call it, Combat Patch 30. I do like the patch. I do. The reason I call it Combat Patch is because you're always in combat. Right? You can respawn, and they can be camping your ass. As example, Fate eSports, I do believe we're fighting off against another team early game. I think probably first round or whatever it was, and that was a quick 5-0 to Fate, and they just spawn camp. Yes, it's my turn. Really? Phone now? Go away. Right. Totally forgot what I was saying. See, people ringing me, texting me. Unacceptable. How dare you? I'm doing real talk. Don't do that. Right. Yes, that's it. Yes. Right. So, even though it's my team doing it, I disagree with it. And I was like, no, that's cheesy. I do not like that, and that has to be changed. I feel that's just going to throw it. I really, really don't like it. It's such a cheese to do. Yay, we got it. And rather than having like a strategy for zoning out, you're not zoning out. You're sitting in there. Oh, they spawned. Pew, pew, dead. They've got no room to maneuver. You're not giving them a chance. It's not that. And that's what I mean about the maps being too cramped. That and a siege point. It's really irritating that I can't remember bloody side. I'm gonna have to ask one of the boys from Torf or Fate or whoever to see if they can pinpoint it. You can just spawn camp, and I do not like it. I think that has to be changed. I can't. I truly do not believe that you should have spawn camping in this game, and you have, and it was clearly shown. I was kind of pissed at the boys at Fate for doing it. My team, and I'm calling them out. Don't do it. That's bullshit. Don't. Bleh, hate it. But whatever. Right then, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to switch it over to the brackets. We're going to go over EU first. First things first. EU was abysmal. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't impressed with any of the teams, including Fate. In fact, the only team that's actually impressing me at the minute is Paradigm. Or should we say Death Taxes, that have been recently acquired by Lydia from the Smite team Paradigm. She came over to Paladins and picked up a team. Congratulations to them. They deserve it. They played really well. They're the only team at the minute. Fate have progressed, and that's been clearly shown on stream that these guys are progressing greatly, and it's great to see, especially for me, my team. I'm not knocking them or anything, but the only team that really has shown me merit-wise is Paradigm. They've got a lot going for them in a minute, and if what we're seeing now was happening week 1 or week 2, I would say Paradigm, as we get into the next, we've got 3 weeks left. That happened, so we'd be where we are now. So week 4, week 5, I reckon they'd actually have a shot at second. They are that improved. They've got that sort of improvement. But anyway, yeah, EU wasn't impressed. Not many turned out. I'm going to switch it over to the brackets. There we go. Fate eSports versus the Art of Warfare. Now, if you remember, I was telling you Fate Spawn Camp. This is what it was. Art of Warfare versus Fate. They just wham bam, thank you, man. Blah. No, not even. Not even was I impressed with this. Fate just spawn camped them, bullied them off the point. And that's not what the new teams need. They're trying to come in and see what they can accomplish. You don't need to be. I mean, if you're going to just, like, a top 4 team comes in and belittles you, to me, it felt like you were belittling a team. I mean, I laughed about it because the game. This is how it went. So I'm sitting there. I went down to make a cup of coffee, and then before the stream had even started, they'd finished the game and wait until start game 2. That's how quick the games were. Well, the Fate eSports versus the Art of Warfare one was. Now, I'm not knocking Art of Warfare or anything, but I think this is one of the reasons we don't have many competing teams anymore in the EU. NA's doing great because everybody thinks, yeah, we're the best, we're going to do this. And I like that attitude. It brings something to the table. But anyway, Fate eSports take out the Art of Warfare EU 2-0. Torpedo versus the Angry Bullets. This wasn't actually shown on stream, so that was a quick game as well, I do believe. Angry Bullets lost 2-0 to Torpedo. Paradigm versus Revolution. That would have been a better game to stream because we, actually, Fate as a whole, scrim Revolution quite often, and they bring a lot to the table. Great team, great up-and-coming team. So any sponsors out there, you might want to check these guys out. They're looking good. They're looking good. Not quite at the stage where they're going to start taking games from the likes of Paradigm, Torpedo, Fate, or District 69, but at the same time, they are... In fact, no, I'm not going to say that. I think they can take games off like Paradigm and Fate. You know, they can catch up. So, you know, I reckon, you know, these guys are definitely going to do it. So, anyway, moving on to the semi-finals, District 69 versus Fate eSports. District 69 win 2-0. I think it was 5-2, both games, in favour of District 69. I may be wrong on that, but I don't have it at hand. This is all I could grab for some reason. When I was clicking on the results, it wouldn't give me anything. I couldn't actually load the challenger brackets for some reason. But anyway, Torpedo versus Paradigm 2-0 as well. Fate eSports versus Paradigm 5-1, 5-2. District 69 versus Torpedo 3-0. I managed to get hold of a couple of the boys from Torpedo, and they just feel that I don't know. I'm not going to say that because obviously I won't release any names, but they feel that things need to change for them to compete again. They're definitely strong, and that hunger to win is still there. But District 69 now, 2 weeks straight, boom, 3-0s. So District 69 are now the clear-cut winners in the summer circuit at the moment. We've got 3 weeks left. Torpedo need to win at least 2 weeks. At least if they don't win next week and they come second again, that leaves them the following 2 weeks to compete to actually win. They have to win to go first. Or is that too late? Because District 69 are now 20 points or 40 points ahead. So therefore 1 to 100 and then down to 8, so it's 20. Yeah. So they need to win at least 2 out of the 3 remaining weeks to take first slot. So bronze match. Fate eSports is versus Paradigm. Like I said, wasn't really impressed. Yes, both teams have impressed me in scrims and stuff and like that. They're taking games off each other left, right and centre. More so in Paradigm's favour. Like I said, Paradigm are the ones that are really impressing me right now. And I do believe if this was at this stage earlier on in the tournament life, we would have seen a different format. Or should I say not different format, but a different, you know, they would be doing better. I want to see more EU teams. And nobody can tell me there's not EU teams out there, because I know there is. For example, ESL. ESL is pumping the numbers out. We're getting 12 to 14, sometimes 16 teams signing up for ESL tournaments now. So I'm just looking at this, 2, 4, 6. Wow. And this is the one with money. I think it's got to the point now, I think it's the format of the tournament where basically, right, we're out of the running, we can't grab any money, we're sorry, we're not going to play. Whereas in ESL, there's always something up for grabs because there's a weekly thing, there's always crystals to win, right? Fair play, you've got more incitement to go out there and win. And not only that, teams use it as scrim time, right? So you can go out and practice, and if you want to try some sort of new strat or crazy tactics, by all means. But, yeah, I don't know. I think EU has to have something more. Something more that's going to entice more. A team I'm looking forward to seeing is Phil's Potatoes Man. You will change your name, Placebo. Please. I'm begging you, bro. Just change the bloody name. Please. But FPM, I think they're going to be a contender for second. I really do. I've got a lot of faith in them. I think if they get their shit together, that they are going to be a contender for the title. I truly believe that. Now, everybody's eyes is pointed to Atlanta, Georgia for December or January, whenever it is. January, I think, at the Hi-Res Expo. Now, as it stands, top 2 teams from each region, again, and just for the record, we're not happy about it. No one is. We spoke about it in a meeting. Nothing was really said about it other than, no, we're only going to take top 2. Whatever, okay. I think with the full split coming up, pretty sharpest after the summer circuit, I think that I don't know, if Torpedo don't improve and District 69 continues to rattle off these wins, I don't know, man. I think Torpedo might struggle against FPM. At the minute in scrims, FPM are looking absolutely incredible. Fate are struggling to beat them. Fate have took a couple of games off them here and then, but I think it's more along the lines of 70-30% in favour of FPN in wins. I don't know the results for Torpedo, or if Torpedo are scrimming FPM. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not told this information, and quite frankly, it's none of my business. But I feel... I don't know. The only way I can draw that is because Torpedo are losing to District 69 constantly now. And I feel something has to change on Torpedo. Now, if we go back through pre-season, then to the start of the season of the DreamHack qualifiers, and then into the Fatal 4-Way, and then, of course, DreamHack itself, Torpedo were absolutely dominating. All right, they were crazy. Like, we're not talking about a team that, they won every now and then. No, we're talking about a team that dominated the scene. All right, 90+ win ratio. That is very hard to do. Okay. It doesn't matter how you look at it, it's bloody hard to do. And there was in esports history, there's only a couple of teams that have actually done that, and I said that in a previous video, so we're not going to go over that now. But anyway, we're going to move on. NA time. Summer NA. Now, there we go. So, Unity Esports versus King of the North. King of the North take that 2-0. Great game indeed. Both teams looking really strong. Unity, an upcoming team, and I do believe sponsors as well. Bringing out this new team, absolutely outstanding to see. King of the North, I can't wait to see what these guys are going to offer in the future. King of the North, 2-0 Unity Esports. Now, King of the North, I really value them. I think they're like that team that could just have that sort of potential to upset. Like, if they've got a little bit more training under their belt, a bit more scrim time and practice, they're going to get there. So, True Faith Gaming versus King of the North Black. Now, I think that was just a separate team that... or subs or something that played, but they both won, so there you go. True Faith Gaming sadly lost that. Now, True Faith Gaming, you know, they're contenders. Like, when I say contenders, like, they're always there. I don't mean like they're contenders for the #1 slot, not going to happen, but True Faith Gaming are someone that reminds me more of Fate in the early days, where, like, we'd always get knocked out first round or quarterfinals, but then they'd battle it through. They're always there. They're there every week. And that's the same with King of the North and Unity now. So... yeah, so King of the North versus Matchpoint. Matchpoint take that 2-0. Ardent Ascendants versus Beacon, which used to be Zenith Black, a new rebranding there, or a new sponsor, I'm not 100% sure. Ardent Ascendant took that 2-0. Great games as well. That was actually shown on stream. Really good. I'm very impressed with Beacon. They look Zenith Black, again, one of those teams that are always there. They've been there. In fact, I think Zenith Black, Fate, and Torpedo now are the oldest 3 teams in Paladins. Yeah, and the reason I don't class like Matchpoint and whatnot is because like they've gone through rebranding and stuff like that. Now, which doesn't really matter, but I know, but like because of course Zenith Black have now gone through a rebranding or whatever it is to Beacon. Now, I don't know, maybe they want their Beacon back in the game. Who knows? But anyway, moving on. Eager versus King of the North Black 2-0. That wasn't shown. Ronin versus Ardent Frost. Now, to me, this was the shocker of the tournament, the upset of the tournament. Ardent Frost are a great team. We've seen them before. We've seen them in previous weeks. Ronin, hello, what? Ronin losing in the quarterfinals? What? Now, that confused the hell out of me. I thought that was a mistake. I literally messaged one of the boys. I was like, wait, is the bracket wrong? And, excuse me, Ronin, that's one of the upsets of the tournament. And this is something about NA. These new talented individuals, like, you know what, sod it, I'm going to give it a bash. Let's go. And try and get picked up by the teams. They're approaching teams, and they're getting in. So there they are, fighting away, and Ardent Frost take it 2-0. That's the first time in a long time Ronin haven't made the semi-finals, but I guarantee you Ronin will be back, eager and ready to fight for next week, for week 6. Anyway, so moving on. Ardent, both Ardent teams in the semis. Not bad, eh? So Matchpoint versus Ardent Ascendant. Sadly, Ardent Ascendant couldn't really put up much of a fight against the Matchpoint boys. They just looked phenomenal. Eager versus Ardent Frost. Again, 2-0. Nothing they could do. Before we get on to the finals, I want to go over the Ardent Ascendants, Ardent Frost. For some reason, the 3rd, 4th place matchup wasn't streamed. I think it's because we had more teams in the NA rather than in EU, where EU there was less games, so therefore we had time to do the 3rd and 4th place matchup. Anyway, moving on to the finals, Matchpoint versus Eager. Now, this was exciting. Matchpoint took an early 2-game lead. Or was it 2? No, it went 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. Yeah. So eager were pulling out everything to bring this back, and I'm telling you, man, it was one hell of a game. It came down to a final point on one of them where everybody was screaming, it was going crazy, this chat was going wild, Vox was losing his voice, Rain Day, oh my god, was he nailing the cast. And you know what, shout outs to Nick Pretty Hair from High Res. Wow, I've never been more impressed with a caster or a new caster to a scene than I am with Nick Pretty Hair. Pretty Hair was on form. Nailed it. Didn't mess up. Like Vox and that were like, oh wait, what did I say that? No, you know. And it was funny, but at the same time, and Pretty Hair now came in. Oh, I got this, boys. I'm on a roll. Here we go. Let's go. Rolling off. Just like it was like butter on toast. It was just that simple for him. He is a born natural, and I can't wait to see more Pretty Hair cast. I think Pretty Hair and Rain Day will be an amazing NA duo cast, and like Vox, TJ, or who else? I don't see the NA boys coming over to EU. I'd rather have 2 EU casters, so I think TJ should be picked up for the Paladins world, going with Vox. Or I'm not saying that they're not good enough to cast at EU, so don't think that, because like these boys are phenomenal, and it's a privilege to have them cast our games. But or bring in Graham, Hindu Man, because everybody loves Hindu Man, right? Like, come on. But anyway, guys, yeah, that is it. That is a wrap up. Now, I've got to give a shout out to TJ. He's doing I do believe a tournament for NA only. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you. I think it's NA. Or it might be for everybody on a Tuesday. That's coming up soon. GoLadder.net is the website. There will be a link in the description below. Please check that out. This guy's putting in a lot of work to try and help out the scene. And rightfully so, you know. I'll give him a heads up. Really good bloke. And I'm looking forward to the tournament. I really am. So anyway, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. I am your host, as always, GGJ. And it feels really good to have that excitement back in Paladins, you know. That sort of change to say, right, come on, boys, let's kick this up a notch. And here we go. So thank you very much for watching. Remember, if you liked the video, please leave a like, leave a comment. And, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe. Until next time, au revoir.